Now I go to YouTube. Greetings, chess players. My name is Chris Torres. This is Daily Chess Musings, and I am starting a new series called California Chess Historical Figures. So I'm going to be looking at some players of note who have made a huge impact on chess in California. So let's start with our first historical figure. Let me see if this works for me. And yes, there's his picture. You might not recognize this gentleman, and you might not recognize his name, but I'm going to tell you about him right now. This photo I have is Selim Franklin, and he was a key figure in California chess history, and he arrived during the gold rush, so in 1849. He was the son of a Liverpool banker and emigrated from England on the St. George, famous ship, in October 1849 to San Francisco, where he opened a store where miners could exchange their gold and played a role in organizing the San Francisco Chamber of Commerce. Franklin's shop was a great success until an unfortunate fire gutted his business in 1851. Selim quickly bounced back from this tragedy and became even more successful as an auctioneer and real estate dealer, where he amassed numerous properties on Battery Street and Sacramento Street in San Francisco. As a wealthy chess aficionado, he helped to plan the first U.S. Chess Congress in New York, where Paul Morphy proved himself to be the best chess player in the United States in 1857. After this successful venture, Selim Franklin returned to San Francisco with the idea of organizing a California Chess Congress to determine the top chess player in the Golden State. In March of 1858, the three San Francisco chess clubs, the Mechanics' Institute, the German Chess Club of San Francisco, and the Pioneer Chess Club, worked together to organize a California Chess Congress. Selim Franklin served as the president of the first California Chess Congress, and also went on to best all the other competitors to win the first prize, which was an ornate gold watch he donated to the tournament himself. Shortly after winning the California Chess Congress, Selim Franklin moved out of the area to Vancouver Island, but would return occasionally to handle business matters and, of course, play chess. Of the other mid-19th century California chess players, it was the very skilled Daniel S. Roberts that proved quite challenging for Selim Franklin. After losing a couple games to Daniel Roberts in their 1858 match at the Mechanics' Institute chess room, Selim Franklin started taking more time to determine his moves in order to mount a comeback. And he did. Some years later, Selim Franklin returned to San Francisco. As a well-traveled man, it seems that he had the greatest emotional attachment to the city by the bay. He passed away at the age of 70 in 1884. Selim Franklin should be remembered as an important merchant in the gold rush days of San Francisco, a patron of the arts, a politician, and a chess master. It's likely that people traveling the streets of San Francisco think that the bustling Franklin Street is named after Benjamin Franklin, who incidentally was also a chess player. However, Franklin Street in San Francisco is actually named after California's first chess champion, Selim Franklin. So I mentioned that Daniel Roberts seemed to give Selim Franklin his greatest challenge of any of the chess players basically on the entire Pacific coast. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at one of the games from their match, from their 1858 match. And let me go ahead and flip it because Daniel Roberts is white and Selim Franklin is black. So let me look at my broadcast screen, and it looks good. And let's go ahead and take a look at the game. So Daniel Roberts started with E4, and Selim Franklin played E5. Good stuff. White is controlling a light square in the center. Black is controlling a dark square in the center. And now white plays F4, the King's Gambit. One of the most aggressive openings you could play, where you're offering black to take on F4, so that you can develop quickly and gain space in the center and attack hard. But, you know, you're moving Freddy early, right? And when you move Freddy early, it creates these kinds of challenging weaknesses, and especially on the belly button. So it's a double-edged opening. If you're an aggressive chess player, go ahead and, you know, try the King's Gambit. And if you're black and somebody plays the King's Gambit, you might play what Selim Franklin plays here and what I like to play, which is striking back at the center. Instead of taking, which they want you to do, strike back at the center and play the Falkbeer counter gambit. Now, first of all, white can only take one of the two pawns here. You might not know this already. A lot of people should. But white can only do this. Because if they go the other route, I'll go ahead and play the move that they do play, and then I'll back up. If they take with the FX E5, you've got QH4 check, and this is a disaster. This is a disaster. Because, yeah, they can block, but then Kapowie Zowie, and then I guess they could block again, but you get a rook, right? Stuff like that. So you don't want to, if you're white, you don't want to do this. It's a bad move. You do want to do this. It's a good move. It's the Falkbeer counter gambit accepted. Now right here, the old chess masters play the move that I play and what Selim Franklin played. And it's the Staunton variation. It's very aggressive. E4. This pawn, by advancing this pawn up, it's a thorn in white's side. They can't just bring their knight out where they want it. And if the knight doesn't go here, they're a little weaker to these checks. They won't get castled as comfortably. Their pawns look a little strange. This E4 pawn is a real thorn in their side. Alternatively, there is the Nimzovich variation, which is more popular these days. It's a good move, and especially so if white goes ahead and takes here, because then it's you can take back by developing a piece. Now you have a piece developed and a queen with 3 roadways to come out. So I mean, your queen's very active, and a pawn in the center, and white has none of this. If they do that, we're happy. Maybe in a future lesson, I'll show you a nice game that I played with the Nimzovich line for variety's sake. But like I said, I enjoy, let's get back, I enjoy playing the Staunton line. And this is what Selim Franklin did. All right. So, let's Let me get back in my notes to where we are too. There we go. So Daniel Roberts plays knight c3, develops with the threat against this pawn, and Selim Franklin plays knight f6. And now we're going to see a technique that the old masters knew and used very well. White plays d3. Well, first of all, right now there's one attacker and one defender. So black's thorn in white's side is still defended enough. So white plays d3. Now if black were to take, white could just take with their bishop and develop another piece. And they're happy. But we have something fun we can do here. And that fun thing is bishop b4, which takes away the knight from trying to control e4, because it's now pinned. We're pinning the knight. We're now prepared to castle. And so you might say, well, can't white just play bishop d2? That's what was played. And yes, this is actually what black wants white to play, because we have this cute little move now. We have this cute little move. And the cute little move is just e3. It's like nothing's defending that, right? Nothing is. But now the bishop takes there, and we can castle. So we, in effect, wasted a lot of white's time here, right? With this bishop, we've castled. And now, if they don't want to lose this pawn in the worst ways and get their pawn structure messed up, and get their bishop maybe pinned to the all sorts of stuff, they need to play bishop d2. So it needs to go back. So let's watch this. I want you to understand. So right here we have a thorn in their side. They attack our thorn. We pin their knight. They unpin the knight. We attack the bishop. They take the pawn, but that costs a tempo, which means we can castle, and they go back to defend the knight. And now we're a couple tempi up. Selim Franklin's a couple tempi up. So he says Chakaruski, right down Franklin Street, which, like I said, is named after him. A major avenue in San Francisco, named after Selim Franklin. So check right down Franklin Street. Bishop e2. This is pinned. And let me make sure. Good, good. And now he does something remarkable here. Selim Franklin plays a very good move. This bishop is not defended, and it's no longer pinning the knight. So he moves it to c5, where it's taking advantage. Let me draw one good arrow. Where it's taking advantage of the fact that the f-pawn moved forward. So now white could not castle kingside. It's a very good move. This bishop says, nope, you're not castling kingside. And his own queen says, nope, you're not castling queenside. He's stuck in the middle. So Daniel Roberts plays knight a4. Really smart. It's actually a mistake, though. Sadly, he overlooked one thing. We can all overlook things. Daniel Roberts overlooked something quite important here. What he was thinking is, I could get rid of this bishop. If it goes here, if it goes here, I can still get rid of it. If it goes here, I could probably play c3. Still get rid of it. And if I trade my knight for this bishop somehow, then all I got to do is play knight f3 and I can castle, and I'm fine. This is what Daniel Roberts was thinking. But there's one big drawback in this, and that is bishop takes knight. It was under attack. Selim Franklin just takes the knight. And then when Daniel Roberts takes back, there's no castling for him today. And then Selim Franklin takes the pawn in the center. It's a good move. Alternatively, he could have played maybe bishop g4. Maybe we see Paul Morphy play bishop g4 here instead of taking this pawn. Paul Morphy, I think, based on, how much I've studied him, that he would have developed with the threat against this pin, maybe. But Selim Franklin took the pawn. Different master, different style. Let's see. And why did I lose myself? There I am. Okay. And white plays knight c3. So what does Daniel Roberts want? He wants Selim to take here so he can go here, so his bishop sees across to there. This is what he wants. This is what he thinks he wants. In actuality, that one, it might not work out as good as he thinks. It might not work out as good as he thinks. What do I mean by that? Well, if, and this doesn't happen, but if Selim had taken, then, yeah, Daniel Roberts gets his bishop across, threatening g7. But then bishop goes to g4. There's that Morphy pressure on the pin I talked about earlier. And now this bishop, see, this is gonna be lost. How do you add a second defender to it? Uh-oh. You can't. But you can block, right? Well, bishop takes, queen takes, and I bet you see that black could just play f6, and now it's the bishop that is pinned to the queen. White would have to lose a bishop. So actually, what Daniel Roberts wanted here wouldn't have worked out good for him anyways. So that's kind of interesting. But Selim Franklin did it differently. He played bishop g4, putting pressure on this pin. This is nice. There's a lot of pressure on e2. e2 cannot move. Let's see what happens. White plays knight e4. So this is similar to the other variation I just showed you where the bishop came in to block the pin. This time, though, the knight's blocking the pin, the rook's pin on the bishop. And, again, bishop takes. And again, queen takes. Now maybe he could castle queenside, but before he gets a chance to do that, you guessed it, f5, threatening the knight, which is pinned to the queen. Which, I mean, the queen's pinned to the king. I mean, this is a tasty file. All right. So white just castles. He's going to lose material. fx e4, dx e4, and now there's a few moves you could play here. I mean, I might just play queen e7 because I know that this can't take. It can't take right now either, by the way. It's threatening the knight, but it can't take because that's pinned to the queen. However, I don't like this rook being in the same file with my queen. I would rather unify my rook and queen in a battery and know that I don't have to move this knight. However, Selim Franklin is ahead of point in material. He decides to take a more cautious route, maybe. Plays knight b6. And this also isn't just cautious. It's maybe moving the knight to where it can get within the quadrant of white's king, right? So this knight is now one move away from entering the king's quadrant. And we'll see it. We'll see it get in there. Bishop c3 would have been played anyways, I'm sure. The bishop is on the great diagonal. aimed at our king. But more importantly, it's a discovered threat on our queen, right? You got to do something with the queen. And let's see, I bet you I can guess it. Yep, queen e7. Makes sense. We already talked about this. Now it's threatening this, though. There's no pin here, but it's threatening to win the e4 pawn. So that pawn just scoots forward to e5. And then Selim Franklin plays knight c6. Another nice move. Develops the knight, unifies the rooks, and the rook and queen are still in a battery. Right? This is nice. Nice chess. Let's see. G4. Oh boy, Daniel Roberts is going for it again. Big time pawn storm. And there's two thoughts to this pawn storm. Number one, there's like the basic idea of you're on castled on opposite sides of the board. If you can advance your pawns and disrupt, so like, you know, your basic, you know, your castled, disrupt the pawn that's in front of black's king, you're going to get a great attack. So there's that. But there's also the potential of advancing the pawns in order to extend the protected pass pawn further into black's camp. Get it closer to turning into a queen. So this pawn storm I like. It's aggressive chess. And Selim Franklin plays one move here that I'm not too fond of. But I think I know why. I think I know why, and I'm going to explain it to you. He plays king h8. All right. So I would have done what Coach Chris likes to do, which is put my queen in the same file as my opponent's king, because my rook's in the same file as my opponent's queen. You put a rook in the same file as your opponent's queen, a queen in the same file as your opponent's king, and good things happen. However, he didn't do that. Why did he play king h8? Well, it's because he wants to do this. He wants to have that knight enter the quadrant of the king. But if he brings that knight up there, this queen can come and fork him. Watch. Boom. Check. Fork. So, Selim simply decides to move his king over there. Okay. So it's a funny looking move. It's not my favorite of his moves in this game, but that's why he did it. Now, Daniel Roberts says, well, Selim, I don't want your knight coming over here, my friend. So I'm going to do this. b3. Well, doing this creates dark squared weaknesses. Anytime you move a pawn forward, you create weaknesses on the opposite color squares, right? So this pawn moved forward to a light square. The dark squares are weak. But he's still got this bishop. But, watch this. Check. Now, if the bishop were to come back and block, the queen could take, right? So, Daniel Roberts doesn't do that. And let me find my notes again. He doesn't do that. He instead simply moves his king over to defend a2. Okay. Yeah, king b1 to defend a2. And now, knight to b4. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. A knight has entered the quadrant of the opponent's king, and we're threatening mean things. Queen takes h2. What are you going to do? Well, you better get rid of Mr. Knight, and he does. Good for you. Good for you, Daniel. But queen takes. Now, this weakness is quite profound because you don't have a dark bishop in the house. I mean, white would love to have their dark bishop in the house, in the fianchetto, but they do not. He needed to trade it. But he continues with his big threats. Here they come. F5. Now it's not so much trying to disrupt the king's safety as it is extending this pawn chain further up the board. And this is a really pretty move. Knight A4. The pawn can't take because it is pinned. And now this knight is threatening check, humongous fork. So what does Daniel Roberts do? Let's find out. Oh, he plays rook G3. Okay. So he's like, okay, if you fork me with your knight, I'll just take it. Selim does. Big fork. Rook takes. Queen takes. And a pawn moves forward again. These pawns are getting too close for comfort. The nice thing is we do have control of a key diagonal and a rook in the same file as the pawn, the passed pawn and the queen. Selim looks at his pieces, realizes, hey, I haven't touched this yet. Put it into the D file. I think we called it Franklin Street, and or maybe that was I don't know. Maybe this is Battery Street, Sacramento Street, and it's a nasty choice here. It's a nasty choice because if you bug out, if you like move your rook someplace else, then this could come up, forking these two, and then you're gonna be in serious trouble. You're gonna lose the game. So you don't want to trade, but it's what is almost necessary to avoid that fork up there. Rook takes d8, rook takes d8. Pawn scoots forward. It's one step away, but Selim Franklin's not worried. He just puts his rook right in front. And then white plays g5. And this is kind of dangerous for white, because I think what Daniel Roberts is thinking is to bring the queen over here. Same file as the king, but also threatening the rook. If the rook were to move, pawn moves forward, queen, checkmate. By moving this pawn forward, it's not just scooting these. Yes, they're getting dangerously close, but it's opening up this move. Daniel Roberts was a good chess player. That's quite a swindle move, right? If you think you can just win this because you're a rook up, you could fall for that swindle. But he played queen c5, which is a beautiful move because it's doubling up on this, and it's also, you know, threatening that, right? It's a nice fork. It's also, you know, threatening to come down here, say check if need be. It's a beautiful move. Key point, though, is doubling up on this pawn. And this is where Daniel Roberts resigns, because even if he did do this move now, then it doesn't work, right? Because the queen could just well, you know what, I was wondering if I should take with the queen or the rook, right? And I think I would just take with the rook. I think I would. And now the danger here is this rook could come down and say check, right? Like for example, if you try and go for a checkmate here, then rook could go to e1 check, king goes to b2, and then you got like queen e5, right? And then maybe king goes out to a3, Well, if I play queen c5, then king b2, and then queen e5, right? Huh. What about just, scooting this pawn forward? I think this is just winning. I think this is the way. I guess white could try and come down here, but see, this is why I unified my rook and queen in this file. I am really blown away. Let's look at the main moves of this game again. So we have a Falkbeer. And then black plays the Staunton line, which creates a thorn in white's side. The d3. Here's the neat little tempi gaining maneuver. Pin the knight, unpin, attack the bishop, castle, come back, check, and you're tempi ahead. Bishop c5 stops the ability to castle kingside. Threaten the bishop, take. No castling kingside, no castling queenside because your queen's stuck in the back rank. Takes the center pawn. And then I think he played bishop g4 here. Am I right? Oh, I'd say knight takes c3. I think he played bishop g4. Let me double check. I think I just forgot to promote the variation. Knight c3. Yeah, he played bishop g4. Let me promote the variation on my chess.com. There we go. Bishop g4. Knight interfering with the pin. But take. Now the queen's there. Threaten the knight. Knight can't move without the queen getting lost. So you lose material. Move the knight to safety. And now the funny move was king h8. And the idea was he wanted to bring his knight here without worrying about this fork. And then this was a bummer for Daniel Roberts. It just creates too much dark squared weakness, and this queen could just jump in there right away. And then, oh, the nice use of the pin with the threat of the fork. Up more material. Trading when you're ahead material. Cute little swindle attempt by Daniel Roberts. If Selim Franklin wasn't paying attention for just a moment in time, he could end up losing this game. But he was paying attention. And this is where white resigned, and the reason is because we can take this on the next move, and there's no threat of mate. I hope you enjoyed this first episode of highlighting historical figures in California chess history. I hope you have a new respect for a new player, maybe. Most people have never heard of Selim Franklin. Most people, like even strong chess players, have never heard of this guy. He was really good. He was a super. He was a genius. When he went to Vancouver Island, he charted out a bunch of the island. He has a river named after him up there. He ran for government up there, and didn't want the colony of Vancouver Island to join the main colony of Vancouver, and the vote went against him. And so he said, "Fine, I wanted to go back to San Francisco anyways," and then he went back to San Francisco. Like I said, when he was in Vancouver, he helped start the Vancouver Philharmonic with his brother, and like a symphony. And then I believe it was Selim Franklin's son who ended up founding the University of Arizona. This was a very smart family, but they weren't just smart. Selim Franklin was an adventurer, not just on the chessboard. He played exciting chess, but I mean, as a young man, to hear about the gold rush in California when you're in England, and to just hop on a boat and go set up shop, he lived an amazing life. He lived an amazing life. He lived to be 70, and he was a great chess player. And he was our state's first state champion. It was the first time something like the California Chess Congress, or, now we call it a California State Championship. It was the first time this had ever been tried or done, and he won the tournament. And just a really neat, really interesting person. A lot of great chess games. I think I'll probably do some more on Mr. Selim Franklin. If you live in San Francisco, the next time you happen to see Franklin Street, think about the individual I just told you about. I hope everybody enjoyed this lesson, and I will see you again next time. Thank you.